guys, I want to be very clear. I don't know Armchair Detective. I don't speak with Armchair Detective. I don't really care what his opinion is on any true crime case. It doesn't matter to me. I do care about his right to discuss true crime cases on his channel without being attacked for doing so. And I do care about the fact that those of us who are actually in the true crime community have been watching for the last couple of years while a bunch of gang-stalking thugs have crawled through the doorway to try to take it over by attacking those of us who have been members of the true crime community for well over a decade. The Armchair Detective is in his 60s. How disgusting that a bunch of gang-stalking thugs think it's cool to be attacking a man and abusing a man who's in his 60s. The Armchair Detective has worked hard all of his life. He has started businesses. He's one of the very few who have been able to become a professional gambler. That isn't something to laugh at or to ridicule. And owning his own businesses is also not something to laugh at or to ridicule. He is intelligent. He is articulate. He is a man of strength. He would have to be to put up with the gang-stalking thugs attacking him and abusing him for over 2 years straight. Doesn't he have something like 60,000 subs? Do you really think he gives 1 ounce of crap at all about what any of the gang-stalking thugs think of him? Yet the gang-stalking thugs just keep going and going and going, and they're calling him the most terrible names. It's disgusting. They're accusing him of the most ridiculous crimes. They're lying about him to other people to try to promote hatred against him. You know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's working with them, and this is what they do in order for all of them to just build their channels. So maybe I'm wrong. But if what we're being told by the gang-stalking thugs is actually what's going on, if this is actually how they're treating him and he's not in on it with them, then it's absolutely despicable how he's being treated. Is this what makes the gang-stalking thugs proud? To choose people in their 60s and 70s to attack? Is this what makes gang-stalking thugs proud, is to be able to make a couple $1,000 a month? off of their shit channels? As long as they keep on attacking people in their 60s and 70s? If you search Armchair Detective right now on YouTube and you set the filter for the last 24 hours, there are 8 new videos posted in the last 24 hours alone attacking the Armchair Detective. It's pretty simple. If you don't like his channel, then don't watch his videos. Move on. Try to create your own content instead of piggybacking off of other people's content. Stop the hate. Stop the abuse. Now I want you to consider the signs of mental and psychological abuse, specific to the abuse, the psychosocial abuse of Armchair Detective. The Armchair Detective has been getting psychologically and emotionally abused for at least 2 years straight. Quote, psychological abuse involves a person's or a group of people's attempts to frighten, control, or isolate. It's in the abuser's words and actions, as well as their persistence in these behaviors. Subtitle, humiliation, negating, criticizing. This comes from helpline.com. These tactics are meant to undermine your self-esteem. The abuse is harsh and unrelenting in matters big and small. Name calling, derogatory pet names, character assassination, yelling, screaming, and swearing. Yelling, screaming, and swearing are meant to intimidate and make you feel small and inconsequential. Next, patronizing, public embarrassment, dismissiveness, joking, sarcasm, insults of your appearance, belittling your accomplishments. Subtitle, control and shame. Trying to make you feel ashamed of your inadequacies is just another path to power. Tools of the shame and control game include threats, monitoring your whereabouts or stalking, digital spying, financial control. That's an interesting one. The gang stalking thugs are always whining about the armchair detective making money. And they're promising each other that they're going to keep on attacking him until he isn't able to make any money at all. Next, lecturing. I'll tell you, the virtue signaling is downright hilarious. Well, it would be funny if the gang-stalking thugs weren't abusing an elderly man. Direct orders. That's an interesting one, since the gang-stalking thugs like to order people around about what they can and can't discuss. Outbursts. We've all seen those videos, haven't we? Unpredictability. The gang-stalking thugs have been pretty predictable. And using others. It says abusers may tell you that everybody thinks you're crazy, or they all say you're wrong. Subtitle: accusing, blaming, and denial. This behavior comes from an abuser's insecurities. They want to create a hierarchy in which they're at the top and you're at the bottom. Here are some examples. Jealousy. Turning the tables. Denying something you know is true. Using guilt. Goading, then blaming. It says abusers know just how to upset you, but once the trouble starts, it's your fault for creating it. Here's an interesting one: denying their abuse. When you complain about their attacks, abusers will deny it, seemingly bewildered at the very thought of it. And next is accusing you of abuse. They say you're the one who has anger and control issues, and they're the helpless victim. Next, trivializing. When you want to talk about your hurt feelings, they accuse you of overreacting and making mountains out of molehills. Next, blaming you for their problems. Whatever is wrong in their life is all your fault. We've seen that play out for over 2 years, as the gang-stalking thugs try to blame the armchair detective for anything that's going wrong in their lives. And last but not least, destroying and denying. Subtitle: emotional neglect and isolation. Many abusers will try to come between you and people who are supportive of you to make you more dependent on them. They do this by demanding respect. No perceived slight will go unpunished, and you're expected to defer to them. But it's a one-way street. Shutting down communication. They'll ignore your attempts at conversation. Let's back up to the one titled Demanding Respect. As you all know, I've been getting attacked right along with the armchair detective and many others over the last 2 years by these same gang-stalking thugs. This says you're expected to defer to them. Do you know that one of the worst attackers of all told me that I am, quote, allowed to discuss any true crime case that I want to discuss, quote, except the case of Christopher Watts. And if I didn't do as I was told, if I didn't follow their orders, then there was, quote, worse to come. Now moving on to shutting down communication. Do you know how the gang-stalking thugs like to spend their time, right? By filing false reports. Because they don't have the balls to discuss any of the true crime cases with those of us they're attacking. So they do their gang-stalking routine. And they try to just silence anybody who they're attacking instead of having to actually have a conversation. Next, dehumanizing you. Did you know that Daniel Bishop actually has shared that when he first started attacking me, when he first joined in the hate campaign against me, that he was told that I was not a real person? Did you know that? Trying to come between you and your family. You should see the threatening text message that I received over 2 years ago. Well, nearly 2 years ago. Another couple weeks, it'll be 2 years ago. Saying they had an investigator and they knew all about me and they were going to start contacting my family members and they were going to expose me. And then they started harassing my children the very next day. And then last but not least, actively working to turn others against you. Do you have any clue how often the gang-stalking thugs create and promote lies about those of us they're targeting? The armchair detective deserves to be left alone. And so do I, and so does each and every other person that the gang-stalking thugs have targeted. Do you really think that attacking Grandma and Grandpa makes you look big and tough? Do you really think that attacking Grandma and Grandpa is a good way to spend your time? Do you really think that attacking Grandma and Grandpa adds to your own credibility at all? The gang-stalking thugs who have been attacking so many of us over the last couple of years, who are actively engaged in attack campaigns, hate campaigns, against those of us in our 60s and 70s, are for the most part losers in life. We've seen criminal records. We've seen drug abuse issues, and I don't mean, well, drug abuse, I don't care if it's prescription drugs or illegal drugs. We've seen the drug abuse issues. We've seen the anger management issues. We've seen the records of bankruptcy, right? Failure, loser, scum. And I'm not saying if you filed a bankruptcy that makes you a failure or a loser or scum. I'm not saying if you did something stupid when you were young, whatever. I'm not saying if you struggle with dependency issues for alcohol or drugs or whatever. Don't go twisting my words. I'm saying that the gang-stalking thugs all seem to have a common denominator. Many of them do have criminal histories. Many of them do have drug issues. Many of them do have other issues too. Many of them do pretend to themselves that they're some kind of star. Many of them do pretend to themselves that they know how to sing, or they know how to play the guitar, or they're a comedian, or they're the next Howard Stern. Many of them pretend to be quote-unquote victim advocates. Many of them call themselves life coaches. Many of them claim to have some sort of psychic abilities. And they all seem to think it's fun to abuse Grandma and Grandpa. What they need to do is get off their asses and get a job. Because maybe if they actually worked, then they would learn to have some respect for those of us who do have strong work ethics, who don't have criminal histories, who don't have drug abuse issues, or other issues either. Abuse is wrong. And it's time for the gang-stalking thugs to stop abusing Grandma and Grandpa. Get busy with your own lives. Get the hell off of YouTube, for goodness sakes. Don't look at your YouTube channel as a way to try to make money, my gosh. Go earn a degree if you can. Go get a job and work. Pay your own way. Stop depending on whatever YouTube is paying you, or whatever your subs are giving you. You're not a star. And there is no way in hell you'll ever become a star when all you know how to do is abuse those who you perceive as being vulnerable adults. Stop the abuse. And if you don't like Armchair Detective, if you do not like the Armchair Detective, then block his channel. Big flippin' deal. Walk away. And if you don't like me, if you don't like my videos, Block my channel. Walk away. Pay attention. We have literally had hundreds of people attempting to silence us for over 2 years. And the Armchair Detective is still making videos for his patrons in his Patreon group. And so am I.